This is a review of project number 6, Observational Paintings, Retinal Studies. It's due in weeks 8, 9, and 10. So project number 6 has 3 weeks of studies. You'll be continuing to work throughout 3 weeks for this particular assignment, which I think is nice because you haven't been able to do that so far in this class. So you'll be able to kind of settle in to working in a particular way. So the first thing that you need to do is to watch this video that I've created for you on observational painting and working with shapes of color. It's a really important video to watch, and you may want to go back and watch it more than one time just to think about how to work with shapes of color. Also, this video on seeing is kind of believing is another good one for this assignment and thinking about shapes of color. Complete 2 paintings a week for 3 weeks with increasing complexity every week for a total of 6 compositions. For the first 2 studies, start more simply. Set up very minimal still lifes that allow you to observe warm and cool colors and light and dark values with no distractions. And then for the 3rd week in the last 2 studies, set up more complex objects with more tonality. Considerations. The purpose of this exercise is to understand the subtleties of color mixing with pigment and color relationships, how warm and cool colors create form and represent light and shadow, and observing and recording relationships within a context of representation. So the medium, these must be made with acrylic paint. You'll be creating observational paintings using your 9x12 Bristol board and the acrylic paints that I've given you. Create a 6x9 inch border that's taped off, just like we've been doing for all of the other assignments. This is required. So make sure you sign, label, and date each image underneath the image and upload it to the Dropbox in the week that it's due. Complete 5 peer reviews by Monday the following week for each of the 3 weeks. So here's an important part of the project, setting up still lifes that you're going to paint. So with consideration to warm and cool colors and light and dark values, select scenes or set up still life scenes that contain these elements with subjects of your choice. But make it easier for yourself. If you really simplify the environment, it's going to be a lot easier for you to see these different simple shifts in color. Here's a few additional tips. Choose items with various heights and texture to fill up the space. Look for items with color and reflections because this is all about color. Always work with objects that you can get excited about, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a very classic kind of item like a piece of fruit. It could be something else, but do look for simplistic kinds of objects. Play around with positioning and lighting. Take a few pictures of different angles and try to get the perfect composition, and just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. I really am not looking for photorealistic imagery here. I'm looking for you to identify shapes of color and shift in color. So pick objects that are new and different to you and just have fun with it. 6 painted compositions are due, 2 per week, plus peer reviews, of course. And here's a schedule of when they're due. 2 in the first week, 2 in the second week, and 2 in the third week. All right, I'd like to show you a few student samples here too. So the paintings that I want to show you demonstrate solid composing, color within color, and use of warm and cool to suggest light and shadow, structure, value and light or value contrast, and successful application of paint. The drawings that I'll show you, especially of the complex objects, are not perfect, but they serve the exercise well. The students are interpreting what was in front of them as shapes of color, and they're handling the material sensitively. I'm really not interested in you creating photorealistic imagery. I'm really more interested in seeing how you can see and reproduce these different planes of color and shifts of color, warm to cool, light to dark.